That's a cool song intro, isn't it, Donnie?
Yeah, it's amazing what we can do nowadays. I didn't do anything. Something else did it.
You're good at that. Not doing anything.
Totally, I'm like a professional.
Yeah, I always say I'm really good at that when people
Right.
go, I didn't do anything. Well, I'm really good at that and not doing anything. So this show, we don't have Spencer, but we have Donnie here. And we also have a mechanic guest, which is cool. A lot of guys like when we have guests. It's just hard to line up 2 schedules, and then to line up 3 is even tougher.
Yeah.
So we are back. We're here. And so we're going to have a cool show. Number 36.
36.
What number 36s do you think of?
Man, who's...
Marchbanks is 36 right now.
Marchbanks right now.
And I heard he just got a deal. Finally. I heard he just got signed with PC for next year.
Yeah.
So he's going to be on there. And so I thought that was kind of a cool deal. And everybody's kind of up in arms that Timmerman doesn't have a real ride. But unfortunately, there's more good riders than there is rides.
More good riders than rides.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's the reality of it. But that Timmerman's really good. That was a cool show at Loredo. Did you watch any of his Loredo stuff?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah. Yep.
So that was pretty cool watching him there and doing good. It's just unfortunately, there's not a lot of... I have this whole rant I could get on about. In our sport, there's only about one guy a year that graduates, that moves up enough to be paid. Like in the NFL, they draft around 200 players a year.
Right.
Okay. In our sport, there's only about one player a year that moves up and gets paid over $500,000 a year. That's going to justify the risk and reward of our sport, right?
Right. So the other guys move up and they graduate to paying for themselves to ride.
And some of them are making... Okay, a 250 guy making it is not making $150,000 to $200,000 on a team where you're still having to pay your trainer and pay all this stuff. Some of those guys are they're making less than a real job would by the time they're done,
and much more dangerous,
and much more dangerous, and risking their life. And Styles Robertson just retired or stepped away. He could come back in a year or two.
What is he, 23?
Yeah, he's pretty young. So he could come back after if he heals up or anything. But safe to say, he's not going to be the same potential as he was.
Right.
And this guy, he was on the track. He was right there. And one of them broke their leg again this week. Another one of those Bakersfield guys.
Was it
one of the other ones that struggled?
Pierce Brown?
Pierce Brown got hurt, but I think he's okay.
Yeah.
It's the other one. Was it Ryder D?
Ryder D, yeah.
Did he get hurt the second moto?
I think so.
Anyway, one of those guys. So it's unfortunate, and just, our sport's full of guys who almost made it and didn't make it, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so 36, show 36. We're glad to be here. We should talk about the races a little bit.
Sure.
So we just had, when this comes out, there'll probably be another national in between.
Yeah.
But we just had the one
Ironman,
which had a ton of 450 drama. 250 was good and boring with Deegan winning. And I think, here's my theory real quick. Everybody's thinking Joe let off or whatever. I think Deegan was a little bit more hurt on that thigh thing.
100%.
That's what I think. And so now he's gotten better and better. He had the 2 weeks off, with, there and there, and he's come back and he's firing.
Remember when you fell and hurt your thigh?
Yes.
And how you could barely operate? Did you see the hematoma on his leg?
I never saw a picture of it.
It was huge, dude. It was like his whole thigh.
Do you have? Is it like a post? Does he have a post?
I think he posted it.
Let's try to find it. And he had professionals rub it out, as they say, on the podium. So anyway, I think he's gotten a lot better. I think he's going to be fine. Do you think if he, everybody's saying he shouldn't race that last race in a 450?
No, I think he should stay on the 250.
You think he should?
Yep.
I think he should race a 450.
Well, here's the problem. Every time you do that, which you can go back and forth, it's a potential to disrupt the regular 450 guys, right?
Right.
And so, I don't know, man. It's like, does he have something to prove? And
everybody's
would
saying
that disrupt anything?
Even Brian's saying there's no way, there's no point, whatever.
There's no point.
Yeah. And if he does it, I think I was looking at some stats, he would tie or go ahead of Jet Lawrence if he wins this weekend,
yes,
and he wins next weekend, those last two, he would then tie for the same number of like 14 wins in the 250 class.
Right.
Which, but none of those guys are going to get close to Ricky and Stewart and those guys that won tons of 125, 250, because they were in there from like 16.
Yeah, nobody's going to pass Stewart.
Right. Yeah,
Stewart's got like 31 wins or
28. It was a lot. Yeah. So anyway. Really been fun racing nationals, but the worst part is those 2 weeks off. Loredo's was a tiny bit of a thing to watch, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I watched it. What do you think about Chase's crash? I mean, it's the most bizarre thing.
I think he grabbed some front brake, man. Myself.
How is that possible?
You think he grabbed front brake?
I think there's a high possibility.
So I think he grabbed front brake because he was going gnarly. Grabbed front brake, and because that front wheel was obviously not turning in the air.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so that threw everything off. Then when he landed, then the front brake just happened to be jacked up too because it got dirt in there between whether the disc guard or whatever. However, it got packed in there. He got dirt in there, and then I'm not a fan of how he left it. I understand you're frustrated, but that's rock. And then to leave the event so quick. So that's where our sport in motorsports, this kind of stuff happens. They're interviewing you straight away when you're
right.
It's kind of not a cool look.
Yeah.
Like it's not a good look. I don't feel like to be like that. I don't know if, I mean, do we think that some of the other guys, does Jet do the same thing? If that were to happen?
I think everybody has that potential, quite honestly.
Yeah.
I think that you're so amped and worked up that at that point, I don't know. I think everybody has that potential.
It's not a good look.
It's not a good look, but it's funny because he wasn't hobbling off. Man, that guy beelined out of there.
I heard his motorhome was one of the first ones out when I was listening.
It was peeling out.
Yeah, they got out of there. So anyway, we got a
He
lot
looks
of
good though, man.
Oh,
Until that happened.
First moto ripped it, and he was poised for the overall. Tomac got lucked into an overall.
Hey, what do you think of that? Tomac says he's not healthy.
He was. They were saying he was sick for that. That's why he's going back. It makes sense because he definitely hasn't looked himself
right
on there. So that's a whole nother subject of, the season is pretty long and brutal. Now, he was out for a long time.
Yeah.
Coming into outdoor, you should be somewhat healthy and knows what to do. So
yeah.
We'll see. I mean, but it is tough you're racing in the summer in those heat. It's tough to stay.
You know what I do in the summer?
You go jet skiing.
I go to the lake and go jet skiing. Right. Yeah.
All right. So we got let's get started with a few tech things. I got
let's go.
Couple good ones so that I didn't get to last show. I got some, we'll see how good they are.
Were we talking about the bike behind me?
Yes. So we got your EXC 500. It's a 24 vintage bike.
Vintage, yeah.
But these bikes are so dang good. And so this one we built, and this is one of our most favorite bikes. And now I've made 2 gas versions for Spencer and I, and we've done everything the same as this bike basically. And so they're just amazing.
We got a good video of Grant like whipping it on this thing.
Yeah, such a good bike.
He goes, we go, hey, when you go out on the moto track, we'll put a moto tire on instead of this. He just went out with this like trials tire and was ripping the moto track with this trials tire.
So we put Twisted does the ECU. We got the ECU, took all the other junk off, and Twisted also has that, what do we call that? The manifold.
The manifold
so we did
that perfect shape
for the 450 500s. Got that on there. IMS tank with the old pumps. We get all the fuel out of there. So it's just lots of cool stuff. So those are great bikes. If somebody's looking for a dual sport, and I don't know if there's going to be some good deals.
I'm taking it with me to
Colorado.
You
can take that, and
I'm taking both.
Taking both. Okay.
Yeah.
Adventure bike in that. All right. So I got one from Caden L. And he wrote me ideas that he's restoring a 97 KX 250. I got that. Seems to be pretty good condition, somewhat low hours, which of course you have no idea how to know that, right?
No.
I've been looking for some insight and ideas. It came across several of your older KX builds and love them. I plan on doing the TX race style kit. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I have all brand new OEM plastics, split fire plastics, but I want to maintain them for the collector items I have. I live in Idaho. He's around 5,000 to 10,000 feet, he says. And he says, what do you think for brake lines, cables, steel braid lines going with Magura? And he wants to do a top end. He asked about fat heads. He's also talking about, he said something about he wants to do a custom pipe. Like what
they all want to do cone pipe.
Yes, that whole thing Kincaid did. And he says, what carburetors would you do, Smart or Electron? And he says he's talking about buying some wheels or painting the stock wheels, all this stuff. Okay, so here's where you already know what I did.
I already know the answer.
So it's a 97. Okay, it's a 97. Okay, so here's the problem. One of the problems is if you're going to build this stuff, he wants to put all this money into it to make it more rideable. So one of the first things I tell these guys, if you want a rideable bike, then just buy you can buy a 2008 to 2015 YZ250 two-stroke for cheap, fix it up a little bit, and you got a rideable, good two-stroke. This 97, there's no transmission parts available, cylinders, power valve pieces, heads, all those stuff are going to be very difficult to find and get. So I recommend guys to pump the brakes on this kind of stuff and just, we've restored these old bikes. Restore them. You ride them. I tell these guys, ride it a couple times a year if you really want to ride it, but you can't keep it as a main
Yeah, because what happens when it breaks?
Yeah, you do your back over.
You're done.
And then you're searching eBay for cases, you're searching eBay for cylinders, and you're trying to find some parts that are going to be very tough and spending good money for. So also, I don't believe in painting hubs. So if you want to do a hub, you could strip it down and get it Cerakoted, or you can get it polished, Cerakoted. You can do the things like that to the hubs. That's what I would do, and then rebuild it like Faster USA would build us wheels, those kind of things. That's what I would do on hubs. And then as far as even like he was talking about, buying a head, I have no problem with like Fathead does good heads and everything, and whoever's and do it. But on a bike that old, it's not going to make enough difference to really matter. I would just make it run good with the stock parts, and you're good.
Well, hey, what are these Electron and the Smart Carbs made for? I mean, obviously you guys are putting them on this, but
because it makes it easier for a lot of them. It's easier to jet. But I will say on that bike right
is
there,
that for they're doing it for modern two strokes?
Yeah, for most. Okay, first of all, the key-in carbs. Most of the key-in carbs, and on the motocross side of things, they're so easy to jet. They're not that far off. PC jetting page, we talk about that all the time. You go there, that'll get you in the ballpark. Now he's at higher elevation, so he's gonna have to lean it out some, but it's not that hard to jet.
But my question, okay, so you have what are the retail on those carburetors?
Oh, they can be anywhere from $500 to $700.
I mean, you on a bike that's worth $1,500?
Yeah.
A good one at $1,500.
Right.
Okay, I'm just trying to do trying to do some math.
You just answered your question.
Right.
So that's part of the problem we have. So with these older bikes, some of the things that you really need to do, like those brake lines, 30-year-old brake lines for sure probably deteriorated, so that's probably a factor. But pull everything apart, grease everything you can. If you need new bearings, change that stuff out. But try to keep it, I say try to keep this stuff as cheap as possible, because you're never going to get the money out of it. And if you're trying to turn it into a current rideable bike that you're going to ride 2 or 3 times a month, it's just doesn't make sense.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. So you can get a YZ250, for instance, and an older one, I say, because they're the same bike basically from 06, 07 to now. So you can get a YZ250 and you can buy readily available parts everywhere. And you have a way better bike, better suspension, everything, than fixing up a 30-year-old bike. So they're fun to do. I mean, I do them. So, and that gets us onto our KX500 project.
There you go.
So I got that KX500. I was going to talk about that anyway, but we have that. I don't know if we mentioned it before in the last show, but I got this 94. I'm going to start on that. Donnie's dropping the ball and helping me on some of that. He was supposed to.
I was doing very important stuff, dude.
So I got these. This is what we got for yours. So I got the Raptor pegs with the mounts for the frame, so we can weld this on to our frame when we do that whole weld kit. I didn't bring in the weld kit in from KX Guru, but we have the whole weld kit.
We brought it in last time.
We did. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so. All right. So I got this now. So we're slowly rounding up parts for the KX500.
Did you already tear it down? I didn't even see it. Nothing.
No, slow roll.
Which sheds? In the far shed or the closer shed?
The closer-ish one.
Whoa.
Not the far away.
So it's moved up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not too bad.
All right.
And Spencer's in town in a week, and so we're probably going to do it during that time.
Nice.
For teardown. I want to have our KX 450 clamps and forks to mock everything up before.
Who are you going to get those from?
MX Locker, I think, is who we're going to use to find some clamps.
Imig's dad does them too.
Yeah. So I'm going to look at doing it, because I want to get forks too, though, and brakes all the same time. So we're working on that. And then I got a Super Mini for Matt. He's got a Super Mini. We're going to rebuild that. And that's what this pieces are all for. I grabbed all the current stuff on my desk right now.
Okay.
At the current. So we got a clutch, gaskets, piston for the 105 Super Mini. It's a gas 22. Got a real good deal on this thing, because summertime in California is the time to buy a bike. If you're looking to buy a used bike, buy it in the summertime.
Yeah.
I guess same reason you buy a jet ski or boat in the wintertime, right?
Right.
Okay. So be smart. And that also means if you're selling bikes, don't try to sell them in the summer. You're going to get hosed.
Yep.
So the best time in California to sell a bike is from October to December, through December. Yep. That's it. It's pretty much that window is the best time. And because after that, the dune guys are kind of over it. You get a little bit into January, but they get into there, they're kind of over it.
You can sell it like February 1st. Sometimes people are wanting to head out to Glamis for the weekend.
Still get another.
And they're like, okay, I need a bike.
Yeah. But you get past the spring there, it's over.
It's done.
Out west here. So you want to sell them in that range. So that's our little sales tip for you. All right. So we got another one for you. We got a guy that is David T. He says, hello, JF. First of all, I really appreciate all of your videos and extremely valuable information. That's nice to know, right?
Yep.
And knowledge of dirt bikes that you're willing to share with us. You've taught me a lot. Thank you. And I do that for free, Donnie.
Yeah. Isn't that nice of you?
Right. He says, I sold my 1997 YZ125, and 2009. Okay. When my wife and I were up to our ears with 3 children, and so basically this guy gave up his like manhood or whatever, right? So he we can't beat him up for, he chose the right path, right?
Sure.
Okay. When you had to make the choice. Luckily, you had kids when you were grandpa age.
That's right.
So you didn't have to make that choice.
Never gave anything up.
Right. You didn't have to give anything up. So,
actually, I gained a bike when she got pregnant with the second one.
That's nice. And so for me, it was my job. So I was able to keep bikes.
Right. Yeah. Honey, this is my job.
This is my job.
I need a bike.
Okay. So it can't be too hard on him, but that was cool. So for the last 50, but he's never was much of a racer, he says, and he had 15 years of off-roading, riding mountains in the Southwest Virginia, and a couple years of motocross. And now that his youngest is 20 years old and having the opportunity to ride a friend's KX 250 last fall, he got the jump to ride again. So that's cool.
Why didn't he put his kid on a bike? I'm just.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And so now his kids are gone. He's ready to get a bike. He says the 250F was fun on the track, and he says he's watched hundreds of videos the last 8 months. He's trying to decide what he's going to do, and he's focused it down to the Yamahas. At first, I was leaning towards a 25 YZ250FX, thinking it would be have the tameness I'm looking for in the tight woods, but fun factor in the open spaces. But the cost factor, hard to find a good used one or a 25 on the FXs. And the maintenance factor, he was worried about it compared to a 2-stroke. He says, I'm now leaning towards a YZ 2-stroke. He says the 125 or the X models. And he says, because he would do a little bit of motocross. He says, currently in Maryland, there are plenty of used 125s and 250s, but no used 2025 X models. That's the 2-stroke.
Yeah.
YZ. Okay. So do you know what I said on this? What I leaned to?
250?
250 FX.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically I told him, hey, you've been off this long.
Yeah.
You deserve,
right.
You only have a few years left. He's like in his late 50s, I think.
Yeah.
You only have a few years left of
get on the ball,
riding.
buddy.
I said, hey, just buy the YZ250
because if
FX.
he does, this is what's going to happen. You already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He would get one of those lesser models.
Yes.
And he'd be like, oh, dang, I should have gotten.
Well, and what I said was, you're going to be having, you have to kickstart all those.
Yep.
Okay. Get the YZ250 FX, has perfect suspension out of the gate, and you don't have to kick it. So that was my concern. So if you're, and where he's at, he doesn't need a 350 in those woods and stuff.
Yep.
And on the motocross track,
stuff.
It'll be great. So I said that YZ250 FX is the perfect bike. And we took it on our trail trip. We had it out there. Did you ever get to ride it?
I didn't ride it.
Okay.
I told you what happened. I love my bike so much. I'm like, I don't even feel like, why even
try something else?
Why even try something else?
And where we were, a 350 we said was kind of the best bike.
Yeah.
Okay. But where he's at, I feel like in those wood areas, 250 FX is just an optimal bike. So and he agreed with me. I said, hey, you've gone long enough without. Just spend the extra money and get the good one for the next 5 years of optimal riding time you have before you're just kind of like...
Deep Thoughts by Jay Clark.
Yes.
Right.
Is treat yourself while you're old. Because if you're talking about the difference of $1,000 to $2,000... It's
not worth it.
That's what we're talking about.
It's not worth it.
Yeah. Just get the one you really want to get.
And that would actually cost him more money in the long run. Because you get it.
And then have to sell the
and maybe
two-stroke.
Lose a little money.
Lose some money on the two-stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So get the FX. He seemed to agree with me. Hopefully he made the right choice.
Yeah.
And
we're going to have to follow up. Said we need a picture. We need proof that he...
I think I got another email today from a guy. We'll bring it next show.
Okay.
Same thing. He got out of it. And, yeah. Back into it. It is cool to see guys that get back because it's hard to lose it.
Completely.
Yeah. It's like put me back in, coach.
Yeah.
That whole.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah. They want to get back on it.
Put me in, coach.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk real quickly about our new. Since our last show, we've had 4 videos come out. So the one that came out last week was Eli's trail bike.
Yep.
Yeah. It wasn't really his trail bike.
No.
But it's
it
number
looked
3.
Amazing.
Number 3, and that's our YZ450 FX, Spencer's favorite bike. That's a cool video. And then we have the TX300.
Is that bike up in Utah?
It's there. Yeah.
He kept it.
It's up there. That's where Eli stores it.
Yeah, that's where Eli keeps it.
And then our TX300 build, that carbureted 2019. Awesome bike. How cool does that thing look?
Well, that thing looks awesome.
Let's put a picture of it in here.
Yep. Sounds good.
You can have a picture of... You should put both of them as I'm talking about them.
Right.
You have the technology to do that.
I think we can do that.
Okay.
I think I can figure it out.
I'll make a note here to send you a picture of these two because both those bikes are just amazing. So I'll send you some cool photos. You took photos of the YZ.
I did,
at Blackmore's, yeah.
Sometimes I notice there's no photo credits.
Yo,
for me.
stop it, dude.
I'm just saying, you know.
Your life is
the only thing I do in life is shoot photos, and
then the other video was the trail bike shootout.
Yep,
that was fun, huh?
It was a fun deal.
Your bike won.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the 350XC, but I guess I shouldn't give it away, but yeah.
Well, listen.
But there was 5 bikes in the shootout. We had 300XC, 450FX, 250FX, 350EXC.
Yep.
And then the 350.
It was literally the perfect area to have that shootout.
Yeah,
too.
that was fun.
It was so fun.
Okay, and then we have a Recluse torque drive install. So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Sounds good.
Check out those videos, and I think we should get to our guest next.
I think we need to get to the guest.
Yeah,
He's going to fall asleep if we don't get going.
All right, we are back. We got a mechanic here. We got CeeLo, Chris Loredo, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So Chris has been a long time mechanic, and I'm friends with friends of Chris and crossed and come across you a few times, but we're not like tight buddies. So now I'm looking forward to getting to know more about Chris.
Nice.
And we get lots of guys who are asking about us to have more mechanics on. But the biggest problem, like I said earlier, is just our schedule.
Yeah.
It's just lining it up and go, okay, we can get everybody to line up. And Donnie and I tend to do this on a weekday mornings, but now we're doing it at night after work. So,
That's right.
Which worked out really well for us today.
Worked out well for me. I was gone over the weekend doing fun things.
Right. So that's good. All right. So it's good to have you here. So first of all, how long have you been mechanic, would you guess?
Oh, wow.
Tough question right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate.
I almost about 20 years or so. I think my first year was end of 2006.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so now let's start with the beginning. How'd you get into bikes and where'd you grow up and all that?
So I grew up in Northern California. My dad raced some motocross and kind of got me into it. And that was from a very young age, 3 years old. And I raced up there all the way till, I think I was 21. And then I finally had enough of, trying to make a living out of it, racing as a privateer.
We call it chasing the dream.
I had enough chasing the dream and, had some injuries and stuff. That
Did you ride all those tracks up there in Marysville and East Street and Hangtown and Hollister and all that?
Very much so.
Yeah.
A lot of racing up there.
So you do this, you chase the dream, you give up the dream, but during this whole time, are you wrenching on your own bikes through your teen years and stuff?
Yes. Probably
Just self-taught, or with your dad?
No, I actually, my dad, a little bit, and then I had a few good people that really kind of helped me out. One would be Al Posey Racing Engines. Yeah. He was super helpful to me. Always was willing to, not only help me out with my engines and stuff, but also to share knowledge and teach me things to kind of help me along the way, as far as just knowing what the motorcycle is doing. Is when you're trying to race and ride, it's one thing to be able to complain and say my bike's broken, but if you don't have anybody there to fix it, sometimes you got to do it yourself. So he helped me out a lot. Another guy by the name of John Nicholas.
Okay.
He owned a suspension company called JN Innovations, and so I think I want to say 16 or 17, and I kind of worked there on and off for a little bit. And
so you tear down suspension there and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So 16, 17, tearing down suspension is good. That's a good skill to learn.
Yep. So it was, I would tear stuff down and he would, rebuild it or do whatever he was going to do valving wise or stuff like that. So he also did some engine repair and stuff. So I kind of got a really broad spectrum of knowledge as far as just the whole motorcycle overall.
That's awesome. And then, so when you're done racing, you decide to come down to SoCal?
Yes. When I was done racing, I got a call from a friend of mine that was, maybe director of motorsports racing for MDK Honda, Danny Palladino.
Yeah.
He also was a NorCal guy, and he helped me a lot along the way, riding wise.
Was Danny Carlson the truck driver?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yep. OD.
Yep.
And Danny Palladino is a real good. I met him a few times, and he passed away just a bit ago. Right?
I believe a little over a year ago. Yeah.
That's too bad. You're just a good dude. So you got connected with them.
Yep.
And who was on that team then? Like Nick Way or?
At that point, when I got the call, it was Nick Way and David Villeman.
Okay. Cool.
So doing Honda stuff. So he had known my small background in suspension, and they needed somebody to do like service work. So they used RG3, and then I would do like the service work in between rounds or whatever.
And so you didn't go to in between this. You didn't go to any trade school.
No.
Nothing. Okay. So you just
nope. Just kind of started from the bottom and worked my way up. And
so you get out here to MDK. Their shop was like in Temecula, right? Or somewhere out here.
I don't know if it's Temecula or Marietta.
Yeah.
It's kind of right there near where AEO is now.
Exactly.
There's a lot of shops over there, right? There was like Reed's shop was there, and there were some others over there.
Yeah, there was quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get over there and you work there for how long?
So I worked there the end of 06, 07, 08, and 09.
That's okay.
So a little bit.
So this is where you got your real footing,
Yes.
so to speak.
Yep.
And then where'd you go on? And there was a good experience there.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. And then for me, I try to, I don't know, just nobody knows everything, right? So there's always something to learn from somebody, whether they're older than you, younger than you,
right,
whatever the case might be, and just try to have that kind of open mindset to learn. So there was some good mechanics that worked there, that are, one of which I learned a lot from was Rich Simmons, who's team manager now at Star.
Yeah.
So
you bring up an interesting point when you said that, because I think of the majority of because people, they go off on, you know so much about bikes. I really don't. Okay. But I would say I'd say only about 20 to 25% of what I show or is something I just figured out on my own.
Right.
I would say the far majority is I just saw somebody else doing it when I was at the shop or the races, or I was paying attention to what other people were doing. And then from there, then I could do a little bit of different stuff or whatever. Right. So
that's the build stuff.
Yeah. I would say like, seriously, it's probably a quarter of what I do at best is stuff I just figured out on my own. Like, this is the best way to do this. That I would show it, without, I call it the looking over your shoulder deal and figuring it out from, that's the best way to learn. So,
and I think you can take little pieces of, how one guy does it versus how another guy does it,
right,
and sort of like, kind of come up with something that's maybe a little bit in between, or you try both ways and sort of really learn what is best for you.
At our shop, it's pretty much however I say to do it is the best way.
That's right.
I'm sure you get that too where you work now. It's like people want it done a certain way, but that's a whole nother thing too. So after there, where do you move on to?
In 09,
that's when
they closed their doors, and then so I was kind of like trying to find something and didn't really have anything on a team, and so I took a job working for a female WMX racer, Casey Creason. So I did that for 2 years. So that was back home for me, up in Northern California. Okay. So I moved back and then did that for 2 years. We did all the outdoor races. And then
when you were at the team, were you traveling to the pro races with MDK?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you were traveling all the time. So now with the WMX, you're going a lot lower budget.
To some degree, yeah. To some degree, yeah.
But also wasn't as big a schedule, though.
It wasn't as big of a schedule, and it was actually a pretty cool experience because I had, all these years of, I say all these, but maybe 4 or 5 years, but being on that professional level team. So I kind of had free range to run it how I wanted, as far as like what parts we were going to use, how we were going to set everything up. And then the really cool part was they had their own dyno. So then I could actually do some stuff and sort of
see the results.
Yeah. What bikes were they riding?
They were riding Honda 250S.
Yeah.
So it was the first year of fuel injection.
Fuel injection. Okay. So 2010.
Yep.
Yeah. I loved those bikes. Because I was a Honda guy. I was riding, and when I got on those 2010s, because I loved the 09. We had the old carburetor on the 09, and Tom Morgan would set up the carbs for us.
Did you have the 37?
Yeah, pretty sure. And they were just bark.
Yeah, they were
Just-
crispy.
Yeah, they were so good. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to like, and then I got on the fuel injected one and it was slower-ish as far as feel.
It felt slower.
It felt slower, but my lap. I remember we were at a hill track, and I just the first day I got them both dialed, and I'm like, I'm going to stay on my 09 here. That's got the because it had the 05 carburetor. I think we did or whatever mod, and I was all stubborn, and then my lap time was like 3 or 4 seconds faster on the slower bike. The fuel inject because it didn't blow up, turn. With
It's funny how that is, right?
Yes, it's so
you
crazy.
look for that feel thing,
Right.
but it doesn't necessarily add up to being faster around
And
the track.
over the last 20 years, I've really, that's 2010, so 15 years, I guess. The last 15 years, now it's like I can only ride a fuel injected bike, and I like them to be very smooth and easy to ride. So that's what's nice about that. So you got to play with that a bunch, and so you had fun with that for a couple years.
Had fun with that. Learned a decent amount. Like I said, it's always just been, even today, trying to, take in as much knowledge as you can. Knowledge is, in my mind, I think knowledge is power, and nobody can ever take it away from you. Once you have it and you know it, like it's something that can't be taken back.
Right.
So, did that a few years, and then ended up coming back. Well, I guess now this is home, Southern California.
Yeah.
So I ended up coming back and working for Moto Concepts. And excuse me, originally, David Villeman was a team manager, and I had some sort of connection with him from
MDK.
the MDK days. So he hired me on, and it was really weird because he hired me on, and then maybe I want to say 2 weeks later, then he quit.
He's gone.
And he was gone.
So you're like, do I have the deal?
And yeah, I was kind of like, I don't know. And then they hired Alessi, and at that same time, I don't know, he wasn't into the Alessi deal, so he was like, I'm out. And then did that for 2 years, and
Wasn't Lammy manager there, and Mike Young too?
I think they were both before
Oh, I see.
Villeman.
Okay.
So you worked with Moto Concepts for a couple years?
Couple years, and then that sort of went a little bit south, and then so during outdoors the second year, that went south, and I was no longer there, and then I had to find something to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, have bills to pay, so I ended up doing a few rounds in Costa Rica with Tyler Bowers
Oh, cool.
and Zach Ames. So had a few trips over there, had a good time, and then that was sort of, like I said, the end of outdoor national season. So it was time to kind of put the feelers out there and see if I could come up with something for the following year, which would have been 14 for Supercross. And lucky enough, Jamie from Twisted was the crew chief there at the time, and we had worked together previously. He was at Factory KTM when I was at MDK KTM.
Right.
So we had a little bit of a relationship and knew each other from there. So he ended up giving me a call and asked if I'd be interested. And at the time it was Rockstar Suzuki, but they were transferring over to KTM. So he asked if I'd be interested, and knew that I kind of knew the KTM brand a bit.
Right.
And had some experience with it. And I said, yeah, let's meet and talk about it. And then from there, kind of just
So what year was that?
2014.
14.
So it would have been the end of 2013
Okay.
Nationals, and then
14 bikes.
14 bikes for 2014 Supercross season.
And then so you're there for how you go there for, and you work for a mechanic, for a rider there?
Yep, that
Okay.
was my first year with Jason Anderson,
Okay.
and then that went on for I think 9 seasons. So it was the first year was it was really cool because it was it was just like a new beginning, a fresh start.
Yeah.
And right off the get go, A1 last lap pass, and
Yeah.
Cole Seeley.
won it. Cole Seeley, yep. And then I think he won 3 main events, and the rest pretty much all on the podium, and ended up with the championship.
He stole races from Cole Seeley on the last lap a couple of times.
I think Anaheim and Phoenix both
Yeah.
back to back weekends
Yeah.
also.
So, and then he was on that, which bike was that? It was the 14.
That was a 14 KTM
and then,
250.
And then And then after that, then how long did he stay?
So 14 was the KTM, and then the end of 14, that was when the merge or the transition from, I guess you would say, factory support team to full factory. And then it was the same team, but it was changed over to Husqvarna.
Okay.
So then he went to 450 on the Husky, and then we stayed there. And
So you stayed with him at Husky, and so that was like 15, 16, 17 in there, and then he won the championship in 17 or
18.
18. Okay. So that was pretty rad, right?
Oh, that was awesome. It was like,
That's more 450 championships than Donnie and I have.
Yeah, combined. Combined.
So you got the championship in the 250 and the 450, and so when that transition to the 450 Husqvarna, like things kind of got better. I would say better over there really quickly. It seemed like with Dungey winning and the engines and everything, all the input.
Yeah, I would say so. It was different though for us because of the major difference between the KTM and the Husky. The engine and stuff, yes, that was the same. So power delivery and suspension. Maybe the front end was very similar, but the rear end of the bike had a full carbon composite subframe. So the way the bike reacted was, I would say, quite significantly different than the KTM being a rigid aluminum or titanium on the race bike subframe.
Do you get guys like back then? Do you think they thought it was an advantage to be on the Husky? Or just different?
I think just different.
Yeah. Because now the bikes are basically the same. Like
they're more similar for sure.
Didn't he break
sure.
one of those plastic subframes? Jason, didn't he break one of those?
I don't remember a time when he did. I think Dean Wilson may have.
Oh, okay.
Now, so how long? What year did you stop working with Jason?
So I worked with him all the way through until he went to Cali.
Okay.
So all the way to the end, which would have been 22.
20, okay. And that's another downside. Is like it's not always guaranteed if you hook up with a good rider that you're going to be able to move on to the next place.
So how does that work? Is there ever any talks to you like I'm leaving and you're not coming, or is it just does that even come up with riders and mechanics?
Oh, absolutely.
It does.
Yeah, no, it does come up, and it was a tough decision for me because we did have such a good run of success, but also I have to think about, the company that gave me the opportunity to have that success as well. So it was a tough decision. But
so he wanted you to go.
He asked me to. We talked about it, but at the end of the day, like I said, the company has given me the opportunity and taken care of me, so to speak. So I chose to stay, and I'm still there. So
nice.
It's hard to argue with, right? Like I get it. Also, for those that don't know, Southern California, you would have to go into a much more expensive area or commute into Irvine.
Correct.
Which is really difficult for commuting would be like torture.
I don't know that I would like to do that per se. And then also too with the team and everything, like being there so long, it's kind of a little bit like family.
You're right.
Did Jade ever tell you about him having to drive to Honda and how long it would take him to get there and come home?
And I haven't had that talk.
You said it was like leaving at 4 a.m. and
he hated it.
I imagine having to go that far in the morning. Yeah, you would have to leave super early, and then I don't know when you come home, do you wait till after traffic? Wait till after traffic's gone, but that's
some of the teams would let you do 3 or 4 days if you did that instead of coming in every day. So it's a tough one. So
what does traffic die down over there? 9 o'clock at night?
Never.
So anyway, but that's cool that you got a really good run with a top rider because there's not a lot of guys because there's tons of mechanics. They're good mechanics.
There's a lot of good mechanics
who have never got a championship.
It's
right.
There's only one guy a year that can win
the 450
each particular championship, right? So part of it is just being fortunate enough to be with that rider, and whether it's luck or I don't know.
Because you probably know some mechanics that are just as good as you, or maybe you go, hey, that guy's probably better than me, and he works harder, but he's never had the opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, you
all
don't,
the
you don't have to say
mechanics-
their name.
I think that a lot of the mechanics are very good.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work, and everybody kind of has to do the same job per se. But
Yeah.
it's one of those deals where sometimes you get lucky.
So you stayed there at K Team Group, let's say. So what have you been doing the last few years then since Jason left, and what has your role been?
So when Jason left, I went and I was Malcolm's mechanic the first year that he was with Husky.
Okay.
And then the second year he was there, the second year he was there, I switched from being his mechanic to a testing role. So I was doing all the testing with Josh Hansen and trying to help
During the week,
trying to help develop the bike. And then I would still go to most of the races.
So that's what a lot of guys don't realize, that there is, in the last few years, it didn't exist before, but now they've created more roles, and they realize that it's nice to have some guys in-house. Because you have got mechanics who are just working on the race guy's bike, but then to have an in-house testing guy who's able to dedicate time to developing the bike and making it better.
Absolutely, because you have
Every team has them now.
most all of them do. I mean, you have these guys that are race mechanics, and they're flying out on Wednesday, or either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on if they build on Sunday or what their schedule is. But to have those guys go do a race weekend, do what they have to do, come back, and then go to the practice track, it makes it an awful lot.
Right. Yeah, it's tough. And so there's plenty of more roles, I guess, for mechanics. Like
Yeah, you'd be working more hours than there are in a day.
that. Did you prefer that staying home more and testing?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, there is days too when I miss going to the races a little bit. You know,
And so now you're not going hardly at all, right?
No, I don't go to any races at all unless I'm just going as a spectator, which is maybe I don't know, for me a little bit weird.
Right. I prefer not going anymore, as Donnie knows.
David will go just as a spectator.
Yeah, he loves races.
He
yeah.
loves. I see him there all the time.
You know, yeah, O'Connor. You know, he's a huge fan.
He's super. We call him super fan at work.
You do? Okay, good, good.
Oh yeah.
He is super fan.
And so
very much so.
And what's your role now? What are you doing?
So now I'm in the engine department, and basically I take care of Husky off-road racing.
Okay.
Engines. I do the Landers KTM 250 team for off-road, and then I kind of float a little bit. I do a little bit of everything.
on the average week, just average, how many engines a week do you build, you think?
It kind of depends on
The time of year.
Time of year, and then timeline. So
Yeah.
if it's during GNC season or GNCC, excuse me, and say it's a mud race, and
Yeah.
you know those things get trashed, really sucking water through the intake a lot. If we have a bunch of motors coming back in 1 week, you know, it might be some long days potentially to try to get them back out for the next race. So
you
it could
do
be
2 or 3 in a week?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
easy.
2 or 3 engines. And when they do engines, I've gotten a little insight when I got to tour the new place and talking to how they do them. They do everything. You know, they vapor blast the engine.
Yep.
And they have a cool way, which is really cool. They block off, because people think you can vapor blast an engine without getting stuff in, and you can't. You know,
No.
so they have cool ways to block stuff off. Vapor blast, clean in the engine, take it apart, tumble all the bolts, right, and then inspect everything.
Well, okay, so yes, on the Supercross side, they're tumbling bolts because they get those nice titanium bolts.
Okay, yeah, you don't want to tumble those, because
We're using stock bolts.
They'll rust.
if you tumble those, it'll make it worse for.
Well, when we vapor blast, all the coating comes off.
Right,
So
okay.
we get new bolts.
Okay, just get new bolts and run new stock
Yep.
steel bolts.
Yep.
Yeah, so you're taking it completely apart, inspecting everything. People think that not every piece gets replaced. So
No, but
you
every
have
piece gets looked at.
looked at, and then you have timelines. You know how long everything can go.
There's, just like on any engine or whatever, there's a service limit or a timeline. Like from, I guess I would say, like, practice engine or whatever, you go longer, and then when that comes apart, you kind of analyze. Okay, what is the limit of this particular part?
What's
and then
wearing,
kinda,
So, what's your method of keeping track? So, do you have a whiteboard and you go this engine, this
So
part,
we
so on?
use the engine number that's on, like, the serial number that's on the engine. So we'll use like the last 4 or 5 digits, and then we have
And you can
in
track.
our shop, we have like an Excel file
I
in the
see.
computer that has a list of every single engine, and then the spreadsheet has every single part that's inside the engine. And then, so when it comes back, the mechanics have basically like a sheet that, tells us how long
Okay,
it was in
so-
the bike and if there was any issues or whatever.
So then in the group, how many race engines are in play and in service in total?
Oh,
There's got to be so many, dude.
that's a great question.
60?
In total, I don't know the number of actual race engines.
But I'm saying all the ones though, the ones that were race and are now
All the
practice
250s and all the
250s,
450s.
all the
Well,
stuff.
I can tell you that in the off-road side of things, because I don't know the numbers of what the Supercross
Sure.
teams have, but in the off-road side, it's somewhere around 150 engines.
Wow.
In like circulation.
Now, the one thing I will say, for whatever, Donnie and I know this, but I'm one of those guys that admits that when Dungy was going to KTM, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm never riding KTMs,
Yeah.
whatever. But then now I own a bunch of them. Okay, so I've eaten my words. I own
Sure.
a bunch. Okay, so and I wasn't the only one, but I have no problem admitting.
2011 is where you went to die at KTM, and 2015 is where you go to advance
right
at KTM.
So, put aside the recent struggles, but the bikes are amazing. It's somewhat what I will say about the engines in the KTM bikes, and then you can test to this compared to some of the Japanese bikes. The durability factor, like the cranks, the valve train, so much better. We have guys that report back to us with like a 350 XCF with 350 hours on it with a stock crank, stock piston, and
Absolutely.
we've seen it over and over and over. We don't even think of tearing down a four-stroke with 150 hours. Like if it's just been us riding it, it's not a pro. We're not.
Sure.
It's fine. Like and the valve adjustment never even goes out as long as you're not sucking dirt and changing the
We're
oil.
also really good about maintenance. I
Yeah.
mean, oil changes at 3 rides. It's changed.
But sucking dirt will kill it. But they do have better components stock. Their valve train and crank.
I mean, I can attest even from the off-road side, it's
Yeah.
like you see these engines come back where they sucked water and mud
Yeah.
and everything through the intake, and they keep running.
Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing.
It is. Yes, so cool. So anyway, but you still need to stay on it. And you guys don't use as many. You don't have to use as many aftermarket parts within the engine as some of the other companies do. Like you're able to use a lot of the OEM stuff, right?
Yeah, we use pretty much only OEM.
That's what I thought, because the cranks are so good, rods, valves, springs, that kind of stuff is pretty strong and durable. Very few weak areas on the engine parts. They do some weird stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, no brand's perfect.
Nothing's perfect.
But I can tell you right now, there's many brands that can't go 40 hours, 50 hours on a crank in these similar conditions. So I know this.
No, they're
I've stated
very bulletproof.
I've stated it many times. Like David said, I'm part of the reason that KTM has stayed in business.
It just keeps buying more of them.
Yeah, I just keep buying more.
So anyway, so that's been a fun roll then. So you're doing engines, and what are your plans for future? You're just going to keep on motoing there?
I'm still going to keep on going, and just keep trying to learn and see where it takes me.
And you've learned. So tell us now, with all the stuff you've seen, I want to hear a couple funny, or if there's any interesting or funny stories of some of the weirdest stuff you've seen happen to a bike, or stuff that you've seen people do wrong or something to a bike, or any other tips you have for people that are working on their own bikes, because we get a lot of people on here, they're working on their own bikes. What are some of the tips you have for guys, and what's the most important things to watch out for?
That was a lot of questions.
That was a lot of
and
questions.
That was a lot of questions.
That's all right. I think the top ones, like what you said, is change your oil often. Make sure your air filter is clean. That's a big one.
Right.
I've seen many times where people will install the filter, but the lip is kind of a little bit sideways, or just any small little gap, and it'll suck a little bit of sand through there, and it just kind of eats it alive.
Yeah, you could have just one bit of dirt going through there could have cost you 40 hours, let's say, of life.
Absolutely.
Or whatever. Yeah, so people don't realize how much it makes a big difference. All right.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, my dad used to tell me, your air filter is like your lungs. So
Right.
you don't want to damage your lungs, because that goes to everything else, goes to your heart and everything.
Good dad.
That was his. He always used to work on the bikes when I was a kid, and he would never let me touch anything. The first thing I got to do was clean an air filter, and it was like, this has to be perfectly clean. There cannot be any sand, any dirt, or anything. So that was like instilled in me, like the very first chore or whatever
Yeah.
that I could do on a dirt bike was the air filter. So that was kind of my job.
That's awesome. And so filters. And then do you see anything that guys do that maybe is unnecessary? Like when you're, like you went back to an amateur race recently, and is there any odd stuff you see at some of these things when you're guys coming by? You went to Loredo Lens.
Yeah. I would say the thing that, I don't know, makes me not, I wouldn't say cringe, but just bugs me, would be two things. Is, especially on the KTMs, and you guys probably know this as well, is when the front brake line isn't all the way in the holder.
Yes.
And it's right there at the place where the metal and the plastic meet, and then the brake line gets all bowed out and sucked into the front wheel almost.
Yes.
And people wonder why.
And some of that's
me.
aftermarket plastic. Sometimes they don't get that on as well. On the I've had some problems with some of the aftermarket fork guards. Mm-hmm. It doesn't hold that metal on the brake line as good as it should.
Okay.
I've had that problem. I've noticed it. I'm not going to say which brand it is, but there's a brand. And they were supposed to update it. I don't know if it ever happened. So because you'd actually tighten the bolts and you could pull in the line, it would pull out.
It would pull out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, this is not good. So we would do a little bit of we put some tape on it to make it a little bit. That's not a Sano solution. So So we would do some other little things to help.
I would say for me, the mechanic side of me is okay. Well, then you do safety wire, go up around the clamp, and then safety wire again. So that would be one thing that I see. The other thing is bikes that are quote unquote clean or washed.
Yes.
That gets me too. I think that there is a bigger value in keeping the bike very clean than just the cosmetic of it.
Yes.
You see things, you see cracks, you see broken parts that, because you're paying attention, trying to make sure everything's perfectly clean. So for me, that's a big one.
We have a good video on bike washing.
Well, have you seen him how we wash bikes? It's like, it looks like we're at the races washing a bike.
So yeah, we definitely. I have a rule: bike gets laid on one side, gets laid on the other side. Okay, then then it goes, and usually we have 2 or 3 of us helping, so we have a little bit of a system. I'm usually the one power washing.
Simply
and then I have guys that are bike flippers. Okay, so we got guys, and we just moto them out, right? And the other day we did like 7 bikes, and I bet I was 35, 40 minutes on that power washer, I bet. And it was hot, but it was like 7 bikes. It was a pretty good amount.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And but we got a good system, each side of the bike, and then it goes on a stand, and then the guy that gets in the stand, he sprays it down with the soap, whatever soap we're using, and scrubs. Boom. And also, when I'm laying it down on each side, if I see anything, I pull my phone out real quick and I take a picture.
Oh, that's a good idea.
If I see a bolt missing, whatever, because I'm not going to remember, so I take a picture, because sure enough, I think 2 of the bikes I had to take a picture or something. I just take a picture, boom, and I get back in there inside, and I go, hey, this one's missing a bolt under the fender, this one's this, or whatever. So, and then most of the time we're pulling skid plates off. If they have skid plates, we'll pull those off.
That's another big one.
When they wash them without the skid plate.
And then there's mud in there.
Oh, dude.
And then you warm the bike up, and then you rev it, and then mud drips out of behind the foot pegs. So you're kind of like an Express 5 like dirt bike wash then.
Yes, but usually it's just 1 or 2 bikes. It's nice, but when it's a bunch, it's very important. And so we have a system, and it's not. They think it's just the bike washing. That's only half. It's not even half.
Trying to look at every bolt. Trying to look at everything.
Once you get into the shop, then you're blowing it off and inspecting everything, and then starting the real process.
Yeah.
And we should mention this.
Yeah.
So I just got this for the Yamaha. This is a wash cover, and so I'm sure you use wash covers.
Absolutely, those things are a lifesaver.
Yeah,
they're great.
So I don't do this enough. We should do it more often, because I'd buy less seat foam if I did, in getting the seats. But it's nice. You keep your air filter box area cleaner, because that's another thing. If you're using good oil in your filter, it's going to leave a mess in the air box where dirt's sticking and so forth. So you want to get that clean. And then also it's helping less blasting on your seat foam, because you just want to clean your seat as quick and easy as you can. And I don't blast into the ribs, or whatever you might be seams.
It'll go right through the seams.
Yeah, they'll go right through there. Sir. Spencer did a good video where KTMC, we flipped it over after we're done, and in there's these spots. He blows in there, and you see how much water comes out of the seat.
It like bubbled out.
It's
right?
terrible.
Yeah.
It gets in there way more than you think.
Way more than you think. So you don't want to spend. So we scrub the seat like with a Scotch-Brite and soap, and we're cleaning it up, and we just barely we don't try to blast it much, okay, and then get it off. And then a wash cover like this is that DCMX makes this for the Yamaha, 3D printed one. So those are going to help you a ton. And then the other thing is, then we'll start, as soon as we get it inside, we can start the bike and get any residual water out. We tape everything off. If we don't have a cover, we tape it off. But that's a big one. And people think it's just about keeping the bike clean, but it's how you maintain it better. Because once we get into the shop, then you're looking it over, right?
Then you're looking it over, right? And if you have, like, for example, I mean, I guess this one would be for the mini bike dads. You don't wash the bike. If you're going to do like a top end or something on your kid's bike and you leave the tank on and you don't wash all the dirt off, well, then when you go to unplug stuff, from the stator or whatever it might be, then you just have all this dirt and stuff that could potentially fall into the engine. So you want to make sure it's completely clean so you don't have any of those risk factors, to get into the crank at the bottom end. You're already spending enough money on your kid's bike and buying all these parts to, service the top end, but then you don't want to just, ruin the bottom end because you dropped a piece of sand in there or something like that.
Now, one of the things we'll do is, since now factory mechanics are pulling the tank off and they're blocking the connectors off and things, fuel line, they're blocking those things off to blast. What we'll do is we'll pull the tank off once we get in the side. Say we're going to work on the top end. We'll pull the tank off and then I'll spray it with a scrubbing bubbles or a glass cleaner, something, and then blow it all off with air.
Wipe it down.
And then really get in there and all the wire harness and try to get all that dirt you're talking about from falling in,
Absolutely.
right? So you want to blast all that out of there before you tear anything apart. So that's something it's really important. That's why you want to have that stuff clean. And so that's got to be number one. So keeping them clean. I like that you think that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you ever use that on the airbox when you're washing?
Oh yeah.
That probably works good, huh?
Yeah, this stuff is really good. This is that blaster, mud blaster they call it. Under the fenders and this has been the best stuff we've ever used. Like no joke, we've tried everything. Because we'll use whatever lubes around, right? And anything's better than nothing. I will say that. Okay, because it's nice to spray it under the frame. It makes washing. People don't realize it, but it makes washing way easier. When we're using this stuff, we just tap the rear fender. The stuff's falling off.
Now that's for mud, or is that like a degreaser?
Oh, no, it's just like a mud.
Just a mud, okay.
And then they have a good degreaser as well, and then they have a orange cleaner that's pretty good. But this one works good as a preventative, like spraying it under the fenders and non-stick.
Okay,
it works really good. Yeah,
awesome.
So we've been happy with it, and it's nice that they're a sponsor too. So
yeah, it is nice.
Yeah, so we were I wanted to really prove it, and I tried a couple of other things we used in the past.
Okay,
and we on the two different bikes the day, and it was legitimately better. So they got it really good, and
I didn't know that they made all those different products. I see some of the other ones over there. But
and so you remember the PB Blaster?
That's the one.
Stuff.
Well, that's what I kind of thought it was at first, but I didn't realize that it was like a different product.
They come out with
I just know the blaster.
They got a couple. They're coming out into the power sports market, so they got like 6.
Awesome.
Cans right away, and then they have a ton of other, and they're partnered with Gunk is their other brand.
Yeah,
so.
I've used that stuff on, like, before you wash the bike, like spray it all over the chain.
Yeah.
And then power wash it off. It gets all the grease off.
Oh, yeah.
Works great, actually.
So now my next question, as I was thinking about this, is when you're going for those the 250 championship, the 450 championship especially, like in Supercross, how much pressure did you feel?
I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that gets very overlooked.
Yeah.
Or maybe it does. Maybe I just feel that way. I'm not sure.
I feel pressure on a small scale. When I build a bike, and I'm not doing a ton of stuff, but we say we build a bike and then it goes out to a magazine, guys. I'm worried that, hey, something could go wrong. It could be bad. But there's no championship in the line. Chances are most of the guys, they're not going crazy. They're not jumping Supercross triples. Okay.
Sure.
So it's pretty safe. If something goes wrong, it's not going to be the end of the world typically. But you're still worried. Like something's going to go wrong. Okay, so it's like, but I'm thinking that this is times 10 with going for a 450.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
I mean, just the fact that someone's riding a motorcycle that you put together and you touch pretty much everything. When I first got into being a mechanic, kind of did a little bit more. We did our own engines and stuff like that. And now on the factory side, you don't, like, we have, obviously I'm in the engine department now,
Yeah.
so that's on that department. But you know, assembling that motorcycle, essentially that rider's life is in your hands. So
Yeah.
it's a big responsibility and a big stress. And for me, I guess coming from, I mean, to be honest, I never really wanted to be a mechanic. I wanted to race. So, trying to ride and be one of those guys, you know, I sort of, I guess, feel the pressure because I know what's at stake and what can go wrong. And, you want to obviously not have anything go wrong. So you're doing laps around the bike, double checking everything, bolts that you've checked 4 or 5 times, you're going over again just because, doing your spokes 3 and 4 times, and you know they're tight.
Right.
But it's just that peace of mind, like, as long as I keep going and keep checking.
And every once in a while, you might find something. Every once in a while.
Every once in a while, you might, yeah.
But it's probably that peace of mind going, okay, I've done everything. I've checked it all 5 times.
Yeah.
I'm good. But I just think it'd be crazy, especially towards the end of the season when you know there's a legitimate chance of a major championship, like what it means. It's like a bigger deal than if your guy's in 10th place. Not that it doesn't matter. It's still scary that, hey, somebody can get hurt.
Yeah.
But you don't want to cost a guy a championship, I'm guessing. Like,
No, that's that's the worst feeling that you can possibly have, really. Actually, in 18, I sort of had something like that. We had a front wheel blow apart in the first turn at Salt Lake City.
He pulled in, and you guys changed.
We had to change the wheel.
Remember?
And at that time, that was,
I forgot about that.
Like where like the wheel cart and everything wasn't. They didn't allow us to have everything right by the mechanics area where it normally is. It was like 30 yards away. So when it all happened in the first turn, Jason came around and was like pointing at his front wheel, and we're like, oh, we need a wheel. So then one of the other guys had to run back to the cart to get the wheel and get the stand and get the tools to do it, because that's not really, you don't carry all that stuff in your backpack. You have your basic,
Right.
your 8, your 10s, maybe some Allens, but you're not really
having a 22.
Yeah, that's
22.
That's stuff that kind of stays designated into your pit car. So we didn't have that. So it was like the longest front wheel change ever. It wasn't awesome.
I remember this.
I
It wasn't
do, yeah.
awesome, and it was
Do you
like,
remember we filmed it out at Kuya?
Yeah.
Okay, so this has been like 7 years ago. So after it happened, you're gonna love this. We did a mock one. I totally forgot about this.
Yep.
Okay.
With Ping, and we were with Ping and some other guys from Racer X were out there, and we just wanted to try it like ourselves, and we didn't do much better.
yeah. Well,
we were prepared for it.
I like to think that I can do a lot better, but in that circumstance, it was
And so
wasn't ideal.
Which role did you have people helping you? So were you the guy holding the front? Did you sit down and pull the front wheel off?
I pulled the front wheel off, put the front wheel on.
Okay.
I think actually Jay Dungy brought a stand because he was closer or something.
Okay.
But yeah, it was not a good time, and it was.
Is there like a discussion after Jason going, dude, could you have done that faster? Or
He was not. I can just tell you, he was not happy.
wasn't pleased?
He was not happy, and I
About
can't.
the wheel change or about that it happened?
I think probably both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said, you're talking about stress, and at that particular race, that was he was, as long as he finished, I think I want to say top 4, he would have clinched the title around early.
So he lost so many points, and they had to go to the next round. And the next round was it Vegas or something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he didn't have to do that well, right? Did he? What did
He
have to do?
didn't. No, he still had a good enough cushion where I think he had to get top 5 or something.
okay.
But
Hey, I've heard him say he doesn't know where that trophy is. Have you heard him say that?
I haven't.
Yeah, he said he doesn't
No.
know where that trophy is on that championship.
That's crazy.
I'm not kidding.
I'll say it's at Bobby Hewitt's.
Probably.
Not saying any names, but it's probably at Bobby Hewitt's.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that was pretty cool. So I totally forgot about the front tire thing.
Yeah.
As much as I watch and enjoy races, I forget this stuff.
I wish I could forget about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we've watched so many races, you can't remember every single thing that, I mean, the weird things like Dungy's gas cap coming off, or when his chain got derailed, and
I remember
whatever.
that. I remember the gas cap one
Yep.
because I was working for Alessi at the time, and he still came back and passed us.
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing, huh?
Right.
That was cool. All right. So, any other cool stories from? Oh no, let's go over your tools. I just tell you
Why
guys.
do you have favorite tools and why?
I just said, and of course we can't bring in all.
No.
Can't bring in his dyno or anything or whatever. So I said, grab a couple tools and you can talk to us about why, because we all have these tools that are kind of like, hey, I really like this thing. I have different little things that I like. So let's go over what you brought in.
Okay, so we'll start off with the basic, most simple one, and it seems pretty stupid, but this particular Phillips screwdriver, and the reason why I kind of picked this is because it's really cheap and it's not a high quality screwdriver, but for me, it works the best.
Yep. It feels really good.
I have a bunch of snap-on stuff, wrenches, sockets, ratchets, torque wrenches, everything. I have snap-on screwdrivers as well. But for some reason, that particular one, I believe it's an Ace Hardware brand at that.
It doesn't even have a name on here.
No. That's what I mean. It's not a fancy screwdriver,
it's a black number 3.
But it fits.
Phillips.
It fits in my hand well, and
the tip feels really good.
Yeah, the tip fits good.
All right.
What is the spoken or unspoken rule of your tools and other mechanics under the tent?
I think that there's the unspoken rule: if you have to borrow something more than twice, you should buy it yourself.
Yes.
Okay, I like this one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
There's that. Currently in the, let's just say, I guess, KTM Husky Gas, they supply the tools, so everyone has the same set. So
for the race mechanics. Oh, okay, cool.
So they have their big pick cart that you see the. Well, there's no toolboxes on them now because they're in a drawer.
Okay,
which is actually pretty cool. So you have like a bigger platform to work on. To lay your parts out or whatever you're doing at that time. So it's just a drawer that's pull out, and they have the foam all laser cut in there. But it's the same on both sides.
What do they buy for tools?
They have Snap-on.
All Snap-on.
Yep.
Nice. Okay.
Why not?
Yeah. Just curious.
What's our next one?
So the next one could be I have it in 3 sizes, but it's a cut down. Let's just call it custom made.
Custom made.
Custom made.
Yep.
A 10 millimeter, a 12 millimeter, a 13 millimeter, and maybe even a 14 millimeter, depending on which brand of bike you might be riding or working on. Specifically for sprockets. Right. Doing sprocket nuts. The 10 is for getting in tight places, like on small bike 2-stroke cylinders, because a lot of the wrenches are a little fat on the outside and they don't allow you to get on the nut properly, so you have to kind of grind it.
Do you find doing it with like a quality one, like a Snap-on one, versus is going to hold up? Have you ever had any of them break?
Knock on wood, I have not.
Okay.
I have ground. I think all the ones I have actually are Snap-on.
Okay. Yeah, they it looks good. So, and it's still plenty of material there for you can see right there. But it does help you get, because where the spokes come together on some of the wheels, like every other,
depending on the hub, sometimes it's a spoke and sometimes it's actually the material and the shape of the hub.
Yeah. You can't get in there.
It won't let
This
you
is
get
where
on
I
it
feel
square.
better about grinding one of those Harbor Freight Icon wrenches down.
Right. Motion Pro did just make one that's pretty good. I think we might need to make it a tiny bit smaller, but they made one that has a step, and so we might be able to.
That one is good, but it's also a little scary because it is so long. You can get a lot
too
of
much
leverage.
torque.
You can go too much.
So you got to be careful. That's one thing with sprocket bolts is guys over the years they think they need to over tighten them. And
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Especially that big one you're talking about in particular with a tie bolt.
You got to be careful.
You got to be careful because a tie one won't stretch. You won't know it's like you can feel a steel bolt and it'll stretch and you're like, ooh, that was maybe a little bit too much.
Far. Yeah.
If you do that with the tie bolt, you won't even know and it'll just pop and snap because it's not going to stretch the same way. So, that wrench is good, especially. But I kind of like to. If I'm going to use that Motion Pro one that you're talking about, I would use that more for taking it off.
Yes.
And then use a little bit smaller one to tighten it back up.
Very cool. And what's our next
one? I don't even know exactly what this is called, but I can give you the part number. It's GA317. It's a Blue Point tool.
Oh, yeah.
Which is off the Snap-on truck.
Okay.
But what it is it doesn't work on all cylinder heads, but on some, it's just a helpful tool for, if you don't have a valve spring compressor, or if you don't like using a valve spring compressor, you can use this tool, and it's spring loaded, so it'll push the collets in. So you just push down on it, and it'll compress the spring, and then the pin will push the collets in, and then the one and done.
So where do you stick the collets on?
So you just stick the collets in the retainer and set it on top of the spring.
Yeah, and have a little grease on it.
And then you just push it down, and it does all the work for you.
That's cool.
And then also it doubles because inside here is magnets. So instead of doing like the old school socket and hammer trick, you can just literally put this on top and hit it with your palm, and it'll compress it enough, and the collets will stick inside the magnet.
That's cool.
So it's to
bust them off.
Yeah, to bust them off. So I wouldn't say it's the most precise tool, but sometimes you need something that you're just trying to get it apart quick, and you don't have time, or you don't want to go and set up your valve spring compressor in a vise or whatever. This works pretty awesome.
That's cool. That's really cool.
But again, it doesn't work on all heads. And I think they actually might make different size tips.
Yes.
But this one in particular, that's the only size that I had.
Okay.
So.
And you got a torque wrench?
And then
I like the small one.
Torque wrench.
Yeah. That's inch pounds.
Yes. That's why I picked it, because I see a lot of people, and I'm not going to say professional mechanics, but I see a lot of people, they only have that big giant torque wrench.
Right.
And then lo and behold, you want to use a big long torque wrench, but you're only tightening a 6 mil bolt, and then you wonder why you strip it out. And yes, it's a torque wrench, and yes, they say that it can do that specific low torque, but it's just not a great feel. So for me, I like to do most everything on the chassis, whether it's like, subframe, triple clamps, engine bolts, as far as like the 6 mil ones, all those, I'll use this small one. And then when I'm doing like engine mounts or swing arm pivot or rear axle or something like that, then I'll step up to the bigger one.
And you're using this on pretty much like everything, valve cover. What would be other?
If I was building the engine, I would use this on everything except for like the head bolts and the primary drive and the clutch hub.
Okay. Then
otherwise, everything else would be with this smaller one.
You're torquing even case bolts?
Yep.
Okay. What do case bolts get torqued to?
Depends on manufacturer, I'm sure, but either 10 Newton meters or 7 foot-pounds or 90 inch-pounds.
7 foot-pounds is very small.
I think it's 7.5.
7.5. That's very small.
Yeah, it's not much.
And you can't. Yeah, trying to do under 10, basically under 10, with your regular size 3/8.
Yeah.
Is pretty tough. Like
there's a lot of
torque wrenches. Pretty tough, but like those new Snap-on torque wrenches, the digital ones, they go low.
But I don't feel that.
I don't feel.
And I get a ton of people write me, and they strip something out, and they go, "I was torquing it," and it would. And so a lot of times in our videos, there's a lot of things like clutch plates. If I'm doing a clutch, that we just do feel, and people get mad at me, and I go, "Hey, having a short handle 8." I go, "Hey, I know how tight it needs to be. I'm not going to over tighten it. I've learned the hard way. I know where to go."
I have too.
So that's one of the easiest ways to learn, right? Is going the hard way. And so sometimes then having the wrong torque wrench and not a good torque wrench or too big a one for the situation, it's almost worse than.
Yeah, you just have this big long bar. It's leverage. And it just, like you said, it just doesn't have. You don't have the feel. You'd almost have to like hold the torque wrench like way up here or something to try to like get the right feel.
Right.
But I agree with you. You're tightening a 6 mil bolt. Most stuff you can just kind of get it with the T handle.
Yep.
And 9 times out of 10 you go around it with the torque wrench after, and it might move like a little bit.
I have a buddy that was a pretty good mechanic, and he would do fork bolts pretty close. I would check them. Mm-hmm. He goes, I got it. This one's 14 and about 17 on the top ones, right? Go check them. He's always pretty close.
Yeah. So no, you do it enough, like you get a feel for it for sure.
Get your elbow tuned out just right.
You'd be like the human torque wrench.
Right. All right. Well, that's some good info, and so fun times, and it's been fun. You've been able to stay in Southern California, which is good, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have a far commute to work, which is good.
No, it's like 20 miles, I think.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
I used to live closer to the shop, but I moved in 2020 a little bit farther away. But I live on a lake, so I can put my fishing boat in the water real easy.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
So you got the good life, and hopefully, knock on wood, everything stays on the upswing with KTM
I hope
Group.
so.
And I'm sure you guys don't know much more than we do.
You probably know more than I do, to be
Right.
honest.
No, but we for sure hope things get straightened up there, because the KTM's been a good, for whatever it's worth. I feel like it's helped the whole industry. You know, we've seen a lot of the Japanese step up in a lot of ways on their bikes that they wouldn't have done if KTM hadn't been doing what they were doing the last 8-10 years.
Well, I like the idea of the factory edition. I think that was a big big positive
Yeah.
for
they had to do it
for our group.
They had to do it. They were forced to.
Kind of, yeah.
In 12 and a half.
Yeah. No, in a way, because of the way the rules are, yes, you are correct, but it also forced the other manufacturers to kind of produce something similar.
No, I'm not talking bad about it, but it's like it's kind of a necessary thing at the time, and then it's turned into what it was turned into.
Yeah.
All right, hey, we're gonna go over a few little things quick on some parts. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about. We talked about this. Did we talk about this last show with the triple?
We
clamp?
talked about it a little bit. You talked about the part, but we didn't show it.
So we got so this is an old generation clamp.
Yep.
Off of like a 20. What
17.
Was it that old?
Yeah.
Was your old bike?
Yep.
Okay, so we can put this clamp on your new bike behind you, but the only thing that's different, the stop's the same, is you need to run this piece instead of the one that comes with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got that for Donnie. So you got to run
So kind of you.
Yes. So you have to run the old piece. There's the part number right there. Okay. So we got that sorted out. So you got to do that.
Okay, as Jay mentioned, we were putting our extra clamps onto the EXC, and Jay got me this top piece that goes on the steering stem and goes below the top clamp. But we also needed to get this O-ring. Our buddy Lassie was able to give this to us, so we had kind of forgot to talk about this on the show, and it goes right below this, which we're going to install now.
And then Trail Tech sent me a new cool little air pump, which everybody has these things now, but they're cool. Trail Tech's been a good company. And with Tusk, they come out with these cool little, you like these little spinny ones?
I don't have those, but that is pretty cool.
Isn't that nice? So, and they're on each end, so you could do whatever, and they spinny. And so use our link if you're going to shop. This is our Torx bits, and now, especially if you have a Triumph, their whole bike is these. No option. You know the KTM's how you have this.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the first things I would do to upgrade that bike is change the bolts.
Hardware, and I think that would be a great idea as well.
What are they, kind of like a panhead?
No, they're either
like
just
a Phillips?
So they look a little bit round. Yeah, they're a round head with just a Torx bit.
Yeah.
On everything. Yeah. And you just have this option, which is a good option, but the problem is most guys are used to grabbing an 8, 10, 12, 13 T-handle. Right. And also in a race day, they're going to pack with mud. Yep. Where the inside's going to get packed with mud, and so you got to get a pick or spray, get it clean to work on it. Where on a bolt head, you can typically always get on there.
Yeah,
easier.
You think
a lot easier. And then another thing too is you have one shot at it. So if you strip that out, then you're in a whole world of hurt. To where if you have an 8 and a Torx, like. People might strip the 8 out, but okay, well, at least I still have the Torx. I got another chance.
That is the really nice thing about what KTM did with those bolts, is having two options.
You'd think a British company that's in the mud half the time, they would know better than doing that.
And I'm sure it just came down to because I heard some stories that it was going to get changed for production and it never did, and I heard it's still not changed on the new bike. So, but good bikes, it's great. Again, that we got guys awesome making gas engines. And we like gas engines.
Yes, we do.
It's good. It's good for business and good for everybody is to have gas engines. The other thing is I got a couple other little questions I want to get to, Donnie, because I sent you some photos on our thing. The first question, there's a photo of a guy's broken. He's got a little dirty Honda. And he says, his name's Lawrence B. He says, how's it going, bud? I was on the trails and my bike was barely starting up and not getting much power off clutch. I then realized this crack. If you could let me know what it is and what's causing my bike to not turn on properly. Well, if you look at this photo, you can see he would have zero coolant in the bike.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So it cracked at the water pump here. And so my guess is he did not notice this until it was obviously way too late. So he was curious if, so chances are if it was already affecting the power of the bike, the damage is done.
It's a bit of a problem.
Yeah. So unfortunately, rather than just I say you need to, this is a full, assessment
Yeah.
situation. And it was a newer Honda that he'd smashed this cover on, as you can see in this photo here. So that's the downside there.
That's not good news for him.
Yeah.
Ouch, that could get expensive.
Very expensive. And then I got another photo here. Wyatt C sent me this. He has a 24 KX 450X, so the off-road one. And he was replacing the countershaft seal when he noticed the seal in the bearing was damaged. And he said he should be concerned. As you can see in the photo, there's an orange seal on the bearing. Well, what looks like happened is when he put his screw or his pick or whatever into the seal to pull the seal out, he went into the bearing has
the actual
seal.
bearing seal.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And on that bike, it's pressurized, so it's going to pump out oil. So he put a new countershaft seal in, and it leaked straight away. So unfortunately, you have to split the cases to change that. There's no changing out that seal.
And you can't get it out buy another bearing and pick the seal out
and try to press it back in.
It's too small, right?
I don't think there's any way you're going to be able to do it. I don't think there's any way I don't think there's any way you're fixing that without.
That's a bummer.
That's a drag, and because the bike wouldn't need to be rebuilt otherwise, so that makes it really tough. So, the other thing I'll mention is I had a good guy. This guy Reno. He's not from Reno, but his name's Reno. He asked me. He says, "You're gonna like this one." He says, "I lost my Brembo front brake lever spring." Okay, those little springs. We're going to show you.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says on the shop floor, my buddy at the local KTM shop told me it was going to be like $60. Okay. And he tried to search online and he couldn't find the spring. And the reason the KTM has got some pros and cons we talked about. One of the downsides is the brakes are amazing. Okay, I'll say that straight away. Brakes, clutch, the Brembo stuff's amazing. But they buy it from Brembo, so they don't usually typically even stock just little, they sell you whole kits. Well, one nice thing is Tusk has, their kit comes with this spring. You can get the spring if you buy a clutch lever. So even if you don't need the lever, the spring here.
And you got a spare lever.
Yeah, then you have a spare lever. So it's cheaper to buy.
That's pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome, right?
Yeah.
So you buy a lever, use our discount code when you our link when you go to Shop at Rocky Mountain and get the lever, and that's for the clutch or the brake. They have the lever comes in there. You get the little plunger piece too.
Yeah, that's another common one that goes flying. And
Flying,
like,
and they don't have any idea. And then how many times, at least for me, we come across guys they don't even running the stuff. Their levers are going like this.
Yeah,
they're like
seen it a few times.
Right. Their levers are like so anyway. That's a cheap, easy solution because these levers are pretty inexpensive and they feel pretty dang good. I don't have a problem even running them on the bike. So that's a great option if you need to get that spring. That's a good option for you. Is you'd have a backup lever if you still want to run your other lever. You're good to go.
It's always nice to have backups.
Right. I got a. So I think that's it for questions. What do you got, Donnie?
I don't know. I'm unprepared.
You're unprepared.
Yeah.
So I didn't bring a CD in this week.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking is just to touch on last show was before Ozzy passed.
That's right.
Legend.
Yep.
Okay. You like Ozzy?
Yeah, I do.
He's
actually,
a lot younger than me.
Did you find yourself just kind of going in for a week straight? I was just listening to nothing but Ozzy.
Almost every post I did, I put Ozzy.
That's so funny. Yeah.
I've been putting Ozzy. I still been putting him on a bunch of posts. So he had a really cool concert the 4th of July weekend in England. Birmingham, where they're from, where Black Sabbath was from. They had a concert weekend. It was an 8-hour concert. Well, one of the highlights of the concert, you got to look this up. We can't show it, unfortunately, but this new guy named Youngblood. Have you heard of this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, kind of crazy looking, but this is the new generation rocker. Well, he came out and he hit it out of the park. He sang "Changes," their song, Black Sabbath song from like '72.
Yeah.
And he
wasn't alive.
Place. Yeah, not even close. And the guy can't be about 30 years old. Anyway, he has a version of that. So if you go Google, we will put it in the link in this show notes. We'll have a link. Go watch that video. It's amazing. This Youngblood sings, this changes, and the whole place is going crazy and everything. So we're going to have to call this another Ozzy.
Another Ozzy.
Yeah. And what's funny is I've been listening to some other more stuff, and there's a few that I've been coming across. I'm like, man, I didn't realize that. A couple of the later stuff.
Yeah.
That we're out, and it's pretty dang good. Like,
yeah.
Man, I missed this boat. Again, because we don't hear new rock too much.
No.
So anyway, so unfortunate, lose a legend there. Yeah. So, and speaking of that, my good friend Kurt Leverton, Ventco, right here. We got Ventco right here. Ventco, and good friend of mine for over 20 years. he passed away, unfortunately, in a just unfortunate accident. And
Crazy accident.
Crazy and just unfortunate deal. Really good guy, big help to me throughout my life. And he passed away last month, just a few weeks back. It's been 3 or 4 weeks. And one of the things I'll say about it is when I posted about it, the day before he passed away, he called me. He's like, because he passed away on a Saturday. On Friday, he called me. We talked about stuff for about 15, 20 minutes. And I almost didn't answer the phone. I was real busy, and I go, I'm going to call him back later. But I answered it. So it just taught me we should never take it for granted. So I'm going to always answer your call, Donnie.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, he was a great friend, and we worked together for years. He started Hot Rods, Pivot Works, Hot
Yeah,
Cams,
a lot of great innovations in the sport.
and Ventco. So not sure what's going to happen in the future, but he's surely missed. So he was a huge AC/DC fan, and so now every time I hear AC/DC, I'm always thinking of him constantly. And now when I've been posting on Ventco, I've been using a bunch of AC/DC. But I mean, over the last few years, I would always send him pictures. Like if I was just driving and it came on the radio, boom, I'd send him a picture and then we'd get it. Then he'd call me or something.
Yeah.
And then in April, we went to saw AC/DC. He saw him like a month later. Like in Minneapolis back then.
Yeah.
And I saw him at the Rose Bowl, and we talked all about it, and he was just so stoked on it. So anyway, it's just, life is precious, and he's only a few years older than me, so it's just unfortunate. So thinking of Kurt Leverton and all he did for me and a lot of people in Moto, it's just unfortunate. So life is short, and I have this photo. I'll try to find it. Snoopy and
Woodstock?
Yeah, are sitting there,
Yeah.
and it's like, life is short. How does it go? And you only live once. He goes no, and then one of them writes back, no, you only die once. You live every day.
Right.
I thought it was like a funny little. I always liked Snoopy as a kid. So
Yeah.
then, you only die once. It's like
You live every day.
you live every day. So that's what you have to remember. So we got to take every day. Can't take it for granted,
Yeah,
right?
rest in peace.
Yeah, that's
So-
pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. Snoopy's got all the good stuff. So
Yeah.
we really
And he
appreciate
flew airplanes. So.
Yeah, he flew airplanes.
Right.
Are we long enough on the show?
Oh, yeah, we're plenty long.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So we really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
problem.
Chris,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
So, and good luck over there, building engines. And David, our good friend, he's been on the show before, actually a time and a half. We had him
Yeah,
on. for a
time and a
little
half.
bit. And good friend of ours.
Your show was probably really long when he was on.
Yes, he does. He's a good talker. And
We had to have a time and a half.
he's such a good guy. And he's perfect for that kind of. He's so
Methodical.
detail oriented. He wants his stuff to be perfect. He'd be a great mechanic too for like at the pro races too, because I think he would really, if he had a championship guy, he wouldn't even sleep. If he,
I was going to say he'd probably be a huge stress case.
Yes, he would probably be back at the hotel sleeping for like an hour and back at the track at 4, going over every bolt 10 times. But
Very meticulous.
He loves it, so it's great to see, and it's great to see how well everything. Besides the business problems over there, the actual bikes and race teams for the last 8 or 10 years have been so amazing. So it's been cool. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, hopefully they continue on and everything kind of buffs out, as we say.
Yeah. Now is Leighton your boss?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And we gotta get him in here.
Yeah.
We'll have to get him in here in the future because that guy kind of knows a lot of stuff too, right?
Oh, he's been around a long time. He's seen a lot of things and done a lot of things, so he would be good to have him
He's
here.
pretty sharp on the
Very sharp.
Yeah, everything I've seen and what you guys because he's the one that sets a lot of the processes. What you guys are.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He actually was kind of like early on in my career as a mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we had to do our own motors, and that was like in that time, KTM had an engine department, and then I was working for Travis Preston at the time, and he's like, "I'm not doing your motors. You do your own motors. Here's the parts." So I've known Leighton a long time, so that kind of helped, I guess I would say, with the transition back into the motor department. He's like, "I know you know what you're doing. You go ahead." Like,
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. It's nice to see. So, anybody else you want to that has been helpful or thank or anything or
I would say
wife, girlfriend?
I would say thank you to my buddy Alan Martin. He's up in Northern California. Good family friend, and he was probably pretty influential in, well, one, my mechanic skills, but just life in general. But he does a little bit. He does like a little motorcycle shop up near Carnegie Cycle Park, and does repairs and suspension and a bunch of stuff. But he was the guy that I would call when I was, a kid, and I stripped a bolt out and I couldn't get it out or something. So I'd call him, hey, come over, can you come over and help me before my dad gets home and I get in trouble, So, but yeah, he was very influential as far as like technical ability and how to do something right.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of like, when I was a kid, I would obviously do stuff wrong, and then he'd have to come bail me out, and then he'd in the process would show me the right way to do stuff and how not to get in those predicaments.
Right.
So thank you to him, thank you to John Nicholas and Al Posey.
Cool. All right. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, it's been awesome. Well, one thing we got here, Donnie, to lead us out is the TX 300.
Yes.
Remember that? Did you listen to the song?
Yeah.
That song was awesome.
Yeah, song was great.
We have some really cool songs that we've been making with AI. That's
Okay.
so rad. So for our TX 300, we have a dedicated song.
Yeah, that was good.
So Spencer has put together at the end of the TX video. So you're going to end this show with that TX 300 song.
Sounds
and
good.
the trail footage of me riding it last month at the shoot. When was that? Just like a month ago.
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks ago up there in Utah with Jim.
Yep.
We rode up there in Utah, and I got some cool footage on that thing. That bike is just awesome. I love that bike. And so that's one I'm going to keep for a long time. The TX 300 carbureted bike. So fun bike. Enjoy that video on the way out, and hopefully we'll see you guys next time on the track or trail. See you guys.
See ya.
Wiseco Piston has over 80 years of experience manufacturing pistons in Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Wiseco pistons are developed and proven through professional racers, teams, and engine builders, including factory Honda HRC, Club MX, DBTV, Twisted Development, and many more. Wiseco is rooted in supporting grassroots racers across the country. Wiseco has been a sponsor of Loredo's and GNCC racing since their very first events. Wiseco has a piston to fit the needs of any type of rider, from reliable rebuilds to serious racers. Wiseco is still the piston expert. However, the brand has evolved and has a complete range of performance components, including engine rebuild kits, clutch and valve train components, crankshafts, gaskets, and more. Wiseco has all of your power sports machines covered, from dirt bikes to UTVs, ATVs to jet skis. Find what you need at wiseco.com or wherever you. We work with some great companies, and here's a list of those right now. Dunlop Motorcycle Tires, Wiseco Piston, Vinco Air Shocks and Dirt Bike Parts, FMF Exhaust, Decal Works Graphics, Pro X Racing Parts, Recluse Clutch Revolution, Motion Pro Specialty Motorcycle Tools, Works Connection, Uni Filter, Klotz Oil, Cometic Gasket, MX Plastics, JE Pistons, Cardo Systems, ODI Bars and Grips. And remember, if you shop Rocky Mountain, use our link from our site, Linktree, or link in description of the videos. Thanks for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.